comes. You ready? Wisdom Teachings with David Wilcock. We're going to hit it out of the park on this one because we've been talking about some very bizarre stuff here. The idea that the universe is alive, the idea that consciousness created reality, and the idea that you may be an extraterrestrial soul. I would highly recommend catching up on previous episodes before getting to this one because we're on a narrative theme here. This is a thematic show, and if you just sort of pop in at random, it's like walking in on a calculus class in the middle. Except instead of it being complex math, it's a very sophisticated worldview that's built around the material called the Law of One. And specifically in this episode, we're going to be discussing more about these extraterrestrial souls. I gave you the Wanderer Questionnaire, which is a 15-part, I originally thought it was 20, but it was only 15. A 15-part questionnaire, and if you can answer a certain number of those questions in the affirmative, that that's who you are, that those criteria apply to you, then you may be part of this very interesting subculture of people on this planet who apparently volunteered to be human from a level of spiritual evolution that normally would not ever need to repeat the third density class again, as it's called. Third density being the reality that we're in, or what most people would think of as the third dimension. It's pretty wild stuff because the idea that you may be different than other people, the idea that there are, let's say, maybe as many as 250 million people on Earth who are decisively different and who remember being in an extraterrestrial world. You remember things that wouldn't otherwise have happened in other people's past life memories. You remember being in an exalted realm where you had telekinesis, where there was telepathy, where you could trust everyone because everybody gets along and there's no fighting and there's no war and there's no conflict. And those people want to help with life in third density. They want to be of service. They come to various planets and they volunteer to take on human incarnations in our reality. And again, the big kink in the storyline here is that you don't get to remember who you are without a lot of work. If you did remember who you are, it would screw it up. The secret of reincarnation, as I've been saying over and over again, is that reincarnation carries your personality with you. There's a lot more of you that is kept from one lifetime to another than most people would ever normally imagine. It's not as simple as the idea that your mind is wiped and you don't remember anything. Dr. Ian Stevenson's research, if you remember, he took 3,000 different children in the Middle East mostly who remembered their past lives and subjected those memories to rational scientific scrutiny and found out that the memories dovetailed very nicely with the actual data that could be determined by what other people remembered who were still alive. One child, as I've said, remembered over 23 different past lives, different relationships rather with the people that she had been involved with. In other cases, murders were solved because the person who was murdered remembered who killed them and the killer confessed to the crime. And then, of course, Dr. Jim Tucker did forensic evaluations and proved that the facial similarity carries over from one lifetime to another to such an extent that there is a forensic police computer match that can be made between the past life and the present life of the person who is under study.